Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this new video I will show you how you can control your radio and your rotator if you have one from the web browser, like with this web page that I created, like is showing in my background, and at the same time that you can control your radio and your rotator from here. There is also another option that you can control your rotator using a map like this one. If you watched my last video on the channel, you will see that I presented this dashboard that I'm showing here on the screen. And the radio control and the rotator control pages could be a great addition if you're using the dashboard, or you can use them as standalone pages in your browser. So let's talk now about how you can control your radio using this web page. And I want to be clear that this is not a web server or anything that you need to install on your computer. It's just simple HTML file that you can download from my GitHub, run in your browser directly. So to show the functionality, let me bring up on the screen my radio. You can control multiple radios with this solution. Let me show you where you select the radio that you want to control. There is a drop down here right below the CAT frequencies, and you can select any of the radios. You can add or remove radios from here. For example, I have my SDR++. You can control with this software, you can control that application. I have a dummy radio here for doing some testing. Then the FT991A, which I'm showing you on the screen, and you can see the information from the radio right here on the top of the web page. And let me show you, if I switch to my other radio, the FT857D, you will see how the top reflects the data coming from that radio, which I have tuned right now on 6 meter. But let me go back to the one that I have on the screen, the FT991A. After I switch the port to that radio, you will see here the information coming from the radio gets updated. And at the same time, if I move the frequency on the radio, like let me manually move the frequency, you will see that gets updated on the web page automatically. So the other functionality that is here on the page, you can see what is the Hamlib port that is in use. We will talk about the dependencies to make this web page to work. One of them is Hamlib. We're going to talk about that later. You can type any frequency in here and in megahertz and type enter, or click on the go button, and the radio will change automatically, like it's showing here on the screen. Also, you can see here in the middle of the screen, there are a lot of frequencies, there are a lot of memories on these columns in the middle. These are the memories that you can use to scan or directly to switch your radio to. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to switch to the FT8 20 meter frequency. I can click this button and the radio automatically tunes into that frequency. It's same for all the other memories. If I want to go to, for example, the 20 meters maritime net, I just click that memory and the radio switch to that. So this is basic functionality. Bonus functionality is that you can scan any of these memories, and you can filter by the name. Like, for example, if I want to scan all my airband frequencies, I can just type in here, kind of as a fuzzy search is, I just type air, and it will select all the airband frequencies. Okay, so I will switch my radio manually to the airband, and I will click on the scan button, and you will see how the radio start scanning all these frequencies, and the change is every 5 seconds. Here the wait time is 5,000 milliseconds. So it's 5 seconds. You can, at any given time, pause scanning with the pause button in here, or you can just stop the scanning altogether with this button. So, for example, if you want to scan all your FT8 frequencies, you can do that. You select, you type FT8 on scan filter. You can see on the checkboxes, the memories, they are all related to FT8 are automatically selected, and you can scan them by clicking the button. The other functionality is that you can manually select the memories to scan. Like, for example, if you want to scan, I don't know, for whatever reason, AM radios on the MW band, you can select them like this, and then you can scan them and tune on all these radios. So every time that you type something in here, it will reset the selections. So this is basically everything that you can do with the radio control part. I will show you in the code where you can add and remove memories. You can add them in any order on the code, but it will automatically sort by frequency here on these columns. When you exceed 5 columns, because you can add unlimited number of frequencies of memories, it will extend down in the page with a second page with also 5 columns as needed. And this is basically the functionality in the radio control part. So if I go back to the dashboard, this I mentioned earlier that this could be included in the dashboard. As you can see here, I have that CAT control page already embedded on the dashboard. So let's talk now about the functionality to manage your rotator, to point your antenna, the rotator control that is also built in on this same page. So this is the first option, is this controlling your rotator using these rows that you have in here with all these buttons. This is a direct control, a direct position selection directly from the rows. The other option, which I will cover in a moment, is using this map. I will cover this later, but first let's go with the one that is on the same page that we have the radio control. And in this one, let me bring up the camera with rotator control box that I have here. So you can see right now, you can read the same bearing or heading or azimuth, different names for the same thing, that is on the web page, and you can see it on the blue screen of the Arduino controller for the rotator. So there are 2 boxes in there. The top one is the Arduino controller that controls the box in the bottom, which is the original controller of my rotator. So now, if I click, for example, 45 degrees, if I wanted to move my antenna to point, for example, to Europe, you can see I did that, and you can see the antenna is moving. Arrow on the web page is also updating about 1.5 seconds at a time. So this is to avoid the unnecessary pulling of that data from the controller. You can see now I'm pointing at 45 degrees. If I wanted to go point to 135, I can just click here. And also is moving to 135. So now let's take a look at the other option that I created to point your antenna to using your rotator, using the rotator map. So let me switch to that tab. You can see here that is asking you permission to access to your location. So I'm gonna say allow. And it automatically is showing a pin where it detects that I am located. There is an option to override this location, which I'm going to show later on how to do it. In case that, for example, you're operating from a remote location or for any reason is not detecting properly your location, you can hard code it on the page. So now it's showing on top of the pin the location where it's pointing now, 134 degrees, as we left from before. And if I click anywhere on the map, the first time I click is going to tell me what is the bearing to that point, what is the distance to that point, and what is the latitude and the longitude of that point. And the next time I click on the circle, what it's going to do is going to move the antenna to that location. To see all that in action, let me bring back up the camera pointing at the controller, the rotator controller, and let me point something in the map, for example, to the east, main, for example. I click there. It's telling me 77 degrees, so I click in the circle, and as you can see now on your screen, the camera pointing to the controller is adjusting the direction. If I wanted to point north, for example, I click here on the top part of the map, and I click once again on the red circle, it will move to around 1 degree. So before I move into the last part, which is the dependencies and the configuration, if you want to use it, let me show you how it really looks nice integrated into the dashboard. So there you go. You have it here integrated into our dashboard that it was presented last week on the last video on the channel. And same thing I showed before, the CAT also is can be embedded into the dashboard, and you can have both controllers into your dashboard. So the first dependency is the Hamlib application. Is the Ham Radio Control library. This library is the middleware that connects your computer to the radio or to the rotator. But it is not only allowing you to connect to your radio or to connect to your rotator, it is also allowing these applications and any other applications to connect to them at the same time. And this is the big difference also between Linux and Windows. I am currently running this on Linux. It will work as well on Windows, but one also of the benefits of running this on Linux is that you don't need to virtualize the port or use any kind of serial port sharing or USB port sharing in Linux. Is all that it works naturally and by default, contrary to Windows that you will have to install if you want to have multiple access to your radios or to your rotators. You will need to access you will need to add virtual ports, which if you are interested in to learn more about that, I have a video on my channel about this. This is the video that I am talking about. Is called CAT Access Share between multiple applications. And here on the diagram on the screen, you can see how I explain how you can connect your radio to multiple applications under Windows. There are a lot of resources online on how to configure Hamlib, so I'm going to skip that. I'm not going to cover that. You can check on how to do that by yourself. And now let's move into our next and last dependency. That is the Ham apps proxy. This Ham apps proxy comes from the Pora Plus Chrome browser extension originally. I'm going to leave a link to that in here in case that also you're interested about this extension. I didn't wrote this one. It was created by David, Kilo 2 Delta Whiskey. In this page, you will find all the information that you need to know about the Ham apps proxy. And this is a Perl application that he compiled into an exe. As I'm going to show you here, I was one of the original testers of this extension that he created for Pora, for Google Chrome. And then after that, I continue adding more functionality to the Ham apps proxy, like the Hamlib connectivity, specifically for Hamlib. And also I did help David with the implementation of OmniRig. I just want to be clear that to use the radio control and the rotator controller, you don't need the Pora plus Chrome browser extension. You just need the Ham apps proxy component, which is the piece of software that sits in between the browser and the Hamlib library. So those are the only two dependencies, Hamlib and the Ham apps proxy. So if you got to this point, we are going to do a couple of code walkthroughs. The first one, it will be on the radio and controller and rotator controller. And the second one will be on the map for the rotator controller. So let's start with the first one, the code walkthrough for the radio and rotator controller. The first part, all the styles and all that, there is nothing for customization there. So I'm going to scroll down all the way to the parts that they will find places that you can customize. Here is the first spot, is to get the ports. For the rotator, I'm using the port 4535, which is here. For the radios, for Hamlib, you have a variable here, port, which I set up to the dummy one by default, the 4531. So those are a couple of places that maybe you want to tweak your numbers. And keep going down the list. I'm looking at the comments just to see. Yeah, this is the important part. This is where you have all the memories for scanning and for quick tuning. If you follow this format, is the name, the mode, the frequency in megahertz, and if you want by default to be checked or not, if you change that to checked instead of false, that memory position will be selected for scanning. By default, I have everything on false. And you can see the order of the frequency doesn't matter, because when the page loads, it sorts this table automatically on the frequency. And if we keep scrolling down the code of the web page, there is not much else to customize except the part in here where you have the drop down for your radio options, because you can have multiple instances of these pages, of this page running. You can scan and control more than one radio at the same time if you have the page open more than once. So in one you can set up one radio, and in the other page you can set up another radio. So the drop down values are all here, and basically that's it. This is the walkthrough of the first one for the CAT control. And now if we look at the map one, the rotator, let me go all the way up into this one. Really, there is not a lot to customize. So there is, you can hardcode your location on the map. So for example, if I wanted to hardcode mine to this latitude and longitude, like I did now, let me show you. When you switch to the browser and I reload this page, it will show here, right? On the place that I hardcoded, rather than my location north of Toronto, which is automatically detected. So that is an option if you don't want to use the map functionality location directly into the code. You can use that. and you can hard code your location. Other than that, really, there is no other option to customize other than the Hamlib port. Here is the port that is going to use to provide the rotation to Hamlib. Also, to get the rotation, there is another place which I didn't use the variable, I just hard coded, but it can also be using the same variable. I can do that later. This is the one that gets the position of the rotator and shows the position on the screen. Basically, that's it. There is nothing else on the code. It's all free and open source code that I'm using, and I will be sharing on my GitHub for you to download and use freely if you wish to do so. All right, I hope you liked the video and you start using these free tools. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until the next time.